reporting. A group of Australian politicians has travelled to the Dalai Lama's Indian refuge, Dharamsala, to meet the Tibetan spiritual leader. The unofficial parliamentary delegation was there to lend its support to the Dalai's long-running campaign for Tibetan autonomy. The visit was condemned by Beijing, which claimed it interfered with Chinese sovereignty. I caught up with the leader of the delegation, Labor MP Michael Danby, in New Delhi. Michael Danby, welcome to the program.
Hi, Jim.
Why this delegation to Dharamsala and why now?
We're an unofficial delegation. We're disappointed that with the state of post-Olympics, the negotiations between China and Tibet. We support the Dalai Lama's moderate position on a cultural autonomy for the Tibetan people within a Chinese federation, and we want to show that some people in the world, some people in Australia, support those moderate Tibetan aims.
You must be disappointed that Australia's political leaders, not just Kevin Rudd but also John Howard when he was Prime Minister, aren't a bit more upfront about their meetings with the Dalai Lama. Meetings with him in Australia tend to be cat and mouse affairs. It's harder to get a picture of them than it is of Malcolm Turnbull and a fake email.
Well, I don't think that that's entirely fair. I think that ultimately all of the Australian political leaders have said that they'll see the Dalai Lama. They've seen him, and that's despite vociferous Chinese protests. We still have good economic relations with China. It just shows you that you can walk and chew gum at the same time.
The Chinese embassy in Australia has condemned your visit. They say it interferes with Chinese sovereignty. How possibly can that be?
That's nonsense. I know I'm not the ambassador's go-to guy, but this delegation, right across the political spectrum, Greens, Liberals, Labor, support Tibetan autonomy. We support the preservation of their beautiful culture and religion, but within a Chinese federation. The Tibetans are very realistic about this. They do not expect to control their own foreign affairs and defence.
The sensitivity on the part of the Chinese, do you think it bespeaks something else, that there's something more to hide, or that there's something more that they have to fear as a consequence of any kind of contact with the Dalai Lama, who after all has been outside his own country for a very, very long time?
Well, symbols are very important, aren't they, Jim? I mean, we've all seen the fall of fascism in Spain, the end of apartheid in South Africa, the fall of the Berlin Wall. Who knows? Maybe with one time in the future, with, as unlikely as it sounds, an open society and democracy coming to the great people of China, maybe they'll loosen their hold on Tibet and let the Tibetans express themselves in a way that isn't in contradiction to Chinese foreign policy.
One final subject. You've been taking the opportunity to speak to Indian politicians and journalists about the treatment of Indian students in Australia, the exploitation and the bashings. What have you been telling them?
We're saying that Australia is not a racist country. We're saying that we're embarrassed, however, that there are international students, particularly Indian students, who are being attacked, and that together with the federal government and state authorities, we're looking forward to implementing some of the measures that will be taken to protect very valued, not just international students, but our own pluralistic, tolerant society.
What reaction have you been getting from the people you've been talking to?
Things were a bit hysterical in the Indian media here for a while, but I think some of the senior journalists and politicians that we're seeing understand how complex the situation is, understand that a lot of Indian students are working late at night, after hours, and in suburbs that are a bit rougher and tougher, and some of this violence is opportunistic.
Michael Danby, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure sweating here in the gardens in Delhi.